All right, well, welcome everyone to this new series that we're starting here at Covenant College, Facebook Live series. This is a new weekly series that we're doing on the official Facebook home of the Covenant Scots, where we will be featuring a program on a weekly basis and getting an inside look at what's going on within that program this fall. I'm Andrew Mindeman. I'm the Director of Athletic Communications here at Covenant College, and we're pleased to be able to bring this to you this evening. Tonight, we have members of the Covenant Volleyball team joining us. We have head coach Joanna Eamon. She's in her 8th year as the head coach of the Scots, her alma mater, 2009 graduate of Covenant College. And she's also the winningest head coach in program history, accomplished that in just 7 seasons. We're also joined by Marielle Chupp, a junior right side from Gunnersville, Alabama. And we're also joined by sophomore Anna Baldwin, a DS and outside hitter from Hendersonville, North Carolina. Ladies, thanks for joining us tonight.
Happy to be here.
Yes, sir.
A few little housekeeping details for everyone. This is about a 15 or 20 minute show, but it's also an interactive show. So if you have any questions or comments for these teams, feel free to leave them in the comments. We'll try to get them as much as we can during our show time. And if you miss our show at any point, it will be archived on our Facebook page as well as our YouTube page as well. If you miss it, be sure to check that out. So with that, let's go ahead and jump right in. Obviously, this is a crazy fall. A year ago, if you had said this is what we're going to be doing at this point, like, no way, nobody would have ever said that. But here we are, September 8th. We have a season where no sports are being played, but that doesn't mean that nothing's going on within these programs. So today we're going to kind of take a look at what's going on within the Covenant Volleyball program. And Coach Eamon, we'll start with you. Obviously, no games this fall, nothing, no outside competition, but yet volleyball program is still going at it and still trying to get better. What's kind of the plan for the program this fall?
Yeah, you're right. It's interesting. I'm even interested to hear about how other teams talk about that this fall. I would say our biggest goal right now is to stick together. This has been a frustrating year for everybody. It doesn't matter what sports season you typically play in. It's just been a roller coaster since March of, will we have a season? Will we not have a season? Okay, now we know it's getting pushed. And it could be really easy just to feel defeated by that every time that we get more news that's just not what we were expecting. So I think for our coaching staff and for our roster, we've just been talking about, you know what, we care about being competitive and we care about athletic excellence and striving to achieve big things, but we also just really enjoy the time that we get to spend together. And so obviously playing volleyball is a big part of that, getting to be on the court and enjoy the sport together, but also it's about enjoying each other's company and growing in our relationships with each other, growing in our relationships with the Lord through our interactions with each other. And so as a coaching staff, we want to find that balance with how do we become better athletically? How do we become more competitive? How do we prepare to achieve the things that we know that this team is capable of achieving? But at the same time, how can we just keep our love of the game and our love for each other? So we're a couple weeks into our practice season right now, towards the end of last week. It can be really hard to practice without competing and for everybody to stay engaged. So towards the end of last week, we just had, it wasn't an off day, but we went outside and we set up a grass court and we had some spike ball going and some cornhole, just enjoying our time together. And I think that that's what this fall is going to be about, is finding that balance. How do we continue to get better on the court? But at the same time, how do we just stick together? How do we continue to build those ties that I think is something that sets our program apart, and it's something that's really important to who we are. So this gives us an opportunity to focus on that in a way that we don't always have time to prioritize. So I think we're pretty excited about that aspect of this fall.
Marielle, for you, Coach Joe mentioned this a little bit about sticking together and approaching this fall a little bit differently. You're an upperclassman now. You've been around a while. What's the team's mindset this fall? You are practicing and practicing, like Coach Joe said, but there's no carrot at the end of that stick. There's no competition. So from a team's perspective, what's the mindset like? What's your motivation like during these days?
Well, since we've just all had such a long break and we're coming from different parts of the country, some of us had access to like gyms over the summer and over quarantine, and others didn't. So I would say the majority, if not all of us, are just so excited to be back, not only on the court, but just with each other in general. So, I mean, I'm sure burnout is definitely something that we all talked about and we're trying super hard to avoid, but at least not yet. Like that hasn't even been like a thought in any of our minds. Like we're just so excited to be like playing volleyball and be back on campus and be back with all of our friends, but especially our team because we're so close. And so that's just like high motivation to come to practice every day anyways. And it's not, there's definitely always some like tension or some nerves going into a season because it's like, oh, playing time, like I have to perform, I have to impress, and you're not playing for playing time right now. So that's just one burden that's been taken away. And so it makes it a lot easier to like relax on the court and just have a good time and get better since we just had such a long break from volleyball, which most of us do like every day if it weren't for this. So.
Yeah, you mentioned kind of the team chemistry aspect of it. You're excited to be back together. But Anna, for you, we have a lot of new freshmen on the team. We have new players that are new to the program. And, you were a freshman last year, so I'm sure you remember, that process of being a part of the team and really bonding and creating that team chemistry. With these days that we're living in and all the precautions now and what we can and can't do, what's that team bonding atmosphere been like this year?
Yeah, I think honestly this summer looked a little different than like the summer when I was coming into Covenant as a freshman. And we like had a group chat, 2 group chats, one on Snapchat and then one on GroupMe. That just like everyone on the team was in. And I think it was really, really good because the freshmen were able to be, I think, more of a part of the team like before they got on campus. And so we would do like different challenges over the summer and over quarantine that like all of the members, all the my teammates like participated in. So that was just a really good bonding experience, even though we weren't, face to face and in person. But that's something that I don't think we have done in the past in the summer. So that was really good. And I think beneficial, and that really translated into just the chemistry on the court when we finally got back on campus. And then I also think, the first 2 weeks of practice, we had to split up into 2 groups of 10. And I would say that we all got pretty close with the girls in our groups. And I think that's also been really beneficial now that we've been able to come back and play together as one team. I think those relationships have just really grown. So.
Just for a reminder for anybody joining us right now, if you do have a question for this group, feel free to leave it in the comments. We'll get to as many as we can. Shifting gears a little bit now, Coach Eamon, you've built a very strong program here at Covenant. This has been a team that's won conference titles, that's gone to the NCAA tournament multiple times. Your on-court success is there. Your off-the-court success in the classroom is there as well. You've been ABCA Team Academic Award recipients 5 times since 2013. But also, you've shown a great care for your players and the lives that they lead and their relationship with Christ. Combining all these things together over the last 8 years, what are some of the key elements that have led to this success during your tenure at Covenant?
Well, first of all, thank you. There's a lot of kind things that you said about the program just then. It comes down to every single person who's been a part of it and having an understanding that those things that you mentioned are a byproduct of the process that we have in place. And it's got to start with recruiting and making sure that through the recruiting process, we're very clear about who we are and we're honest about what we're about. That while we absolutely care about winning and we care about winning championships and that we want to achieve those things, that if that's the only piece that we're recruiting for, we're probably not going to fill our program with the players who are going to be the right fit for us, but making it very clear that we care about growing in our relationship with the Lord through participation within this program, that we care about the fact that our players are coming in to Covenant to get an education first, and that they're choosing it as an institution that's going to prepare them well through their next 4 years to start them off on their career, and that we've got the hope is that we're bringing in players who have the right priorities. But then on top of that, that they understand that being part of this volleyball program is a commitment. It's something to be really excited about, but understanding that you're part of something that's a lot bigger than just you, and that it's not just about what you as an individual can achieve on the court, but knowing that it's got to be about everybody who's a part of it. So as we get recruits coming in and we're clear about that in that process, then when our players are here, it's then being true to that message that we have put out there. And so I rely very heavily on my assistant coaches. I've had fantastic assistants over all of the years that you mentioned. And now with Coach Steph and Coach Liv, who've been part of the program for a while, it helps with the consistency and making sure that we're staying true to that. And I think it's awesome that they are just as invested in the players' lives as I am. But we all really enjoy that part of what we do. We don't just do it for the volleyball part of it. That's obviously a benefit. It's a huge perk because the sport is awesome. It's the best sport that there is, and I'll fight anybody who wants to correct me on that. But I think that it's about so much more than just the winning. And when you bring in the right people and you know that everybody's on the same page across the board, the competitiveness comes from that, comes from the bonds that we've created, and the fact that these players are willing to show up every day and fight for the sake of each other, and that they are competing even on days that they don't feel like competing, because they know that they need to show up for the people around them who they care about. And it's just really cool to see them take ownership of that, because I can say that all day long. I can sell that as who we are. I can ask the players to do it, but unless they really buy into it, it doesn't matter what I say. And so I'm thankful for the fact that they're willing to be part of that, and they're willing to stay committed to it, because at the end of the day, that's what determines whether or not any of that's true. And so it's just really fun to be a part of, to know that all of us are on the same page with that. It's a really special thing.
Mariel, we hear Coach Joe talk about bringing in the right kind of players to the program that are going to buy in into what Covenant College is about and what Covenant College volleyball is about. As you think back to your time when you were being recruited, what was one or two deciding factors, why you came to Covenant?
I feel like this is something that a lot of Covenant athletes say, like when they're asked this question, but the true deciding factor for me was just how much it felt like home. Like I was just so comfortable. I mean, I won't lie. I was very reluctant, coming to visit Covenant in the first place. But when I got here, it's all I ever thought about. And I was just so excited to be back and be with the team. Because out of all the places I visited and all the teams I met, I just already felt like a part of the team when I came here. I just felt so at home, and I felt so loved and invited. And the team was reaching out to me before I even made a decision, just talking to me and just making me feel like I was already their friend. And so that just meant the world to me. I just knew it was somewhere I was going to be comfortable being away from home. And that's still proves today. That's something I love about having recruits come and hosting recruits is showing them who we are and how we love each other and how that goes onto the court and just in everything we do. So I would definitely say it would just be the family that we've created on the team and at Covenant in general.
Anna, same question. Did you experience the same thing, or did you have something a little bit different and when you were deciding to come to Covenant?
Yeah. I think for me, honestly, I think I would have come to Covenant even if I wasn't playing volleyball. But I just remember the first time that I came, when I stepped onto campus, I immediately just fell in love with it. And part of that was just obviously the location, so beautiful. But then the other aspect of that was just the community and how genuine everyone was on campus. And I remember when I think it was my first visit, I came and watched a practice with Coach Joe and Coach Liv, but she was a player at the time. But something that just really stuck out to me was like before they started practicing, they had like a team prayer. And coming from a public school, like I'd never really experienced that. And they included me like in the prayer and included me in the huddle like before practice. And that was just a really, really sweet moment. I just felt super included, like Marielle, just to echo what she was saying about just really feeling welcomed and like it was a family. So
Fantastic. Yeah. Once again, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Let's shift gears a little bit for our last set of questions, at least. Later this week, we'll be doing a throwback Thursday to the 2017 Covenant Volleyball team. A tremendous year, a year that ended up with the team in the NCAA tournament and advancing in the NCAA tournament. So many things happened that year. Coach Eamon, as you think back to that season, what are some of your favorite moments from that year?
It's so cliche to say that it's hard to choose, but it is.
Here's a couple.
I know. I'll do my best. Can I narrow it down to 3? Is that enough? It's also crazy to me. Like I feel like it's hard for me to remember when certain things happened in my coaching career and my playing career, but there's just so much about that season that I can list off. It was just so amazing. But 3, I'll stick to 3. The first one was when we upset Barry at home in 3. It was the first day that regional rankings had come out that year. Barry was number 1 in the region because they had just beat Emory, which was really impressive. And we were ranked number 8, which was the first time we had ever had a regional ranking. So that was really exciting. But then that night we hosted them at home and we beat them in 3 and it was amazing. And it was just, it was one of the most incredible home game experiences that we've ever had. The next one would be the conference championship game. Averett hosted that year. We were at Averett. We were facing them in the conference championship. They won the first 2 sets. We made some lineup changes because we were just like, well, that hasn't been working. So let's move some people around. Let's do something new. We took the 4th set or the 3rd set. In the 4th set, Averett actually had 2 championship point opportunities, but we held them off, took it to a 5th, and we won. And it was unbelievable. There are still moments where I think back to that and I'm just like, I don't really understand how it happened, but it was just unreal. One of the most exciting comebacks that I think I've ever been a part of. And then the last one would be beating Birmingham Southern in 5 in the first round of the NCAA tournament to be the first team to move past the first round. And at Covenant, it was just, again, it was a tight game. It was crazy. It was back and forth. I feel like all 5 of those sets were super, super tight. And it just came down to like those last couple moments where people did exactly what they needed to do. And we won. And we had an amazing crowd. We were down in Atlanta at Emory. We had an incredible crowd of students from Covenant who made the trip. So it's just, there was so much about that year that was exciting that I think that we're capable of being there again. I think that we can absolutely do that. But it's,
I found this on Amazon.
Sorry, my phone's listening. But yeah, it still gives me chills to think about those moments. So it was just a really cool season.
Yeah, you didn't even mention the fact we won 17 matches in a row that year.
Well, you told me I had to pick 3.
I know, but that's like 4. Like we won 17 in a row, and we came back in that Averett match in the championship game. But in the semifinals the day before, and so comeback wins in 3 matches in a row. It's just incredible volleyball of that season. It's one of my favorite volleyball seasons as well.
It makes me wish even more that we were playing right now. It's so exciting to think about. We'll get there again. We'll do it again.
So Marielle and Anna, you came just after that 2017 team, but your teams that you've been on have had great success on the court as well. But just from your time here at Covenant so far, what are some of your favorite memories? So we'll start with Marielle.
Like Coach Joe just said, that's such a tough thing to think about, but definitely just one like off the bat, my freshman year. So sadly, Anna was not here. But when we went to Colorado as a team, that was just super exciting to jump into. Like as a freshman, I was like, wow, this is crazy. Like I'm in the coolest place ever. And it was just so much fun traveling up there with the team and like getting to do sightseeing. And that was I can truly say, like, that's when I really like bonded with like the team. And we took a set or match off of Colorado, which is obviously like a very highly, like very good team. And like, that was just absolutely like wild and crazy. And like the excitement, like I felt after just like that one game, like it was just so exciting to like see everyone celebrate and just see like the determination that we all had to do it. And it worked. And it was just so much fun to be a part of that. And that was another good example of Coach Joe just kind of putting lineups together at the split second. She's really good about that. Her talking about 2017 just made me think of like, wow, like she's been doing this for a while. Because there are so many games, if something just doesn't work out, she's like, okay, and just throws names in a hat and draws them out. Not really. But, and it works, and it's amazing. But I would definitely say Colorado is probably just something that I'll always remember and just really set me in place for like knowing I'm going to love the next 4 years with these girls at this place. Not Colorado, but Covenant. So yeah, that's probably mine.
Anna, what about you?
There was a home game last year, and I don't remember who we were playing. Maybe y'all can help me out. But it was Lex and a couple other girls, and like we got so many blocks. It was like block after block after block. And that was just so much fun. Just like being on the sidelines or being like on the court, like just the celebration after all of those and just getting these like massive blocks. I wish I remembered who we were playing, but that was just a lot of fun.
It was the number 1 team in the country.
Yes, it was.
Oh, that makes my memory better. It was Emory. So there you go. Yeah, that was really epic. Yeah, blocks are just a lot of fun. Those are just, yeah.
I remember that because we had several in a row, and Emory had to take a timeout.
Yes.
It's always fun when you force Emory to take a timeout.
It was
That's an accomplishment.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Some great memories. Well, we appreciate your time, ladies, for joining us tonight. For everyone else, again, we'll have this archived. You'll be able to watch it again, and make sure to join us next week as we bring on the women's soccer program. Thanks again to head coach Joanna Eamon, Marielle Chupp, and Anna Baldwin from the Covenant Volleyball team for joining us this evening. We'll catch you all next week. Thank you all, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.